The first man in Scripture did not fall because he was weak. He fell because when it mattered most, he stayed silent and let someone else answer for him. That single sign is still the most common one in men today, and it rarely gets named as a spiritual failure at all. There are 5 signs like this one, each easy to miss because none of them look like obvious sin. You have been measuring your own manhood by strength, provision, and control. Categories Scripture never actually uses as the primary test of a man's spiritual condition. Some of the men held up in these pages as warnings had all 3 in abundance, more than most men will ever possess in a lifetime. What they lacked was quieter, harder to name in the moment, and far more common than anyone wants to admit sitting in a pew or watching a screen today. Many of you will push back on this. Good. Because none of these 5 signs will feel like sin the first time you hear them named out loud. Sign 1. Silence when your voice was required. Genesis 3 verse 6. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. Adam was present for the entire conversation between his wife and the serpent, standing close enough to hear every word exchanged. Present and silent, from the first question the serpent asked to the final moment the fruit was offered. He did not correct the deception unfolding in front of him. He did not step between his wife and the lie being told to her directly. He simply ate what was handed to him, having said nothing the whole time it actually mattered. Read that again. The fix here is not complicated, though it remains genuinely uncomfortable to apply. It is speaking the true thing in the room before the moment passes entirely, especially when staying quiet would be easier and would cost you nothing visible in that immediate instant. Silence in the presence of deception is never neutrality, no matter how it feels in the moment. It is participation with a delay attached to it. Sign 2. Leading through control instead of confidence. 1 Samuel 18 verses 8-9. Saul was very angry, and the saying displeased him. He said, "They have credited David with tens of thousands, but me with only thousands." And Saul kept a jealous eye on David from that time on. Saul was king. He had the throne, the army, and the title, all of it fully intact at the moment this jealousy took root in him. What he did not have was the internal security to let another man succeed nearby without feeling personally threatened by it. But here is what nobody told you. The Hebrew phrase describing Saul's watching is closer to an eye that does not simply observe but calculates and suspects continuously. A man who needs to control every room he enters is not leading from a place of strength, regardless of how commanding he appears from the outside. He is managing a fear he has likely never named out loud even to himself, and control becomes the only tool he trusts to hold that fear down. The fix is building your identity on something that does not require other men around you to be smaller by comparison. Confidence that has to diminish someone else in order to feel real was never actually confidence in the first place, it was insecurity wearing confidence as a costume. Sign 3. No boundary around desire, only regret after it. Judges 16 verses 16-17. With such nagging she prodded him day after day until he was sick to death of it. So he told her everything. Samson did not lack physical strength in any measurable way. He lacked a boundary he was willing to hold before the moment of temptation actually arrived, rather than trying to hold one after the damage had already been done repeatedly. He kept returning to a woman who had already betrayed him multiple times before this final conversation, each time apparently believing the outcome would somehow be different from the last. Think about that for a second. A boundary decided in the heat of temptation is not really a boundary at all. It is a wish, dressed up to feel like a decision. Samson's failure was never a single weak moment that caught him off guard. It was the total absence of a line drawn long before Delilah ever asked her first question that day. The fix is deciding your limits before you are tired, before you are alone, before the specific person or situation is even in the room with you. Because willpower negotiated in real time against desire loses far more often than most men are willing to admit. Now stop. Sign 4. Avoiding correction because peace feels more urgent than truth. 1 Samuel 3 verse 13. I told him that I would judge his family forever because of the sin he knew about. His sons blasphemed God, and he failed to restrain them. Eli was not absent as a father in any physical sense. He was present, aware, and unwilling to confront what he saw clearly happening under his own roof for years. He chose the appearance of peace over the discomfort of direct correction, and Scripture records the resulting cost as generational, extending well beyond his own lifetime. Let that land. A man who cannot correct what he sees clearly happening is not actually keeping peace in his home. He is renting it temporarily, at a price that compounds silently and eventually comes due for people beyond himself. The fix is treating discomfort as the cost of leadership rather than evidence you are doing something wrong. The correction that feels unbearable to deliver is usually the one that was most needed. Sign 5. Letting comfort slowly rewrite your convictions. 1 Kings 11 verses 3-4. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods. Solomon began with more wisdom than any man recorded anywhere in Scripture. He ended with a heart genuinely divided, not through a single dramatic collapse anyone could point to, but through years of small compromises made steadily for the sake of comfort and political alliance. Tell me honestly in the comments right now. Which of these 5 have you noticed quietly forming in your own life before today, if you are willing to admit it? The fix is auditing your convictions the way Solomon never did, asking regularly and honestly what has shifted this year that you would not have accepted 5 years ago, before that shift becomes permanent and completely invisible to you. You have been looking for the sign of a biblical man in his strength, his title, or his ability to provide for those around him. Scripture keeps pointing somewhere else entirely, toward quieter and more easily hidden failures, toward the moments he spoke when silence was easier, resisted control when insecurity whispered otherwise, held a line before temptation arrived instead of after the damage was done, chose correction over false peace, and guarded his convictions against the slow erosion of comfort over years. None of these 5 require strength you do not already possess right now. They require attention to the quiet failures nobody warns you about until the cost has already compounded far beyond what it needed to. If you want to see what it costs when a boundary is decided too late instead of too early, watch the video on screen now. Joseph left everything behind and ran the instant reasoning was no longer enough to keep him safe. Type, "I receive this," in the comments if today you are choosing to name and correct the sign that convicted you most.